Fox 32 has information indicating the FBI has launched an investigation into controversial Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
Dane Placco has been following allegations of her misspending.
Breaking this morning, 3 lawsuits just announced against controversial suburban Mayor Tiffany Henyard. The plaintiffs, they are all former employees of Thornton Township and the village.
Top aide to Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard has been indicted for bankruptcy fraud. It comes amid ongoing questions about Henyard's spending and leadership.
And legal expert Henyard actually has 2 political jobs on 2 public payrolls as mayor of South Suburban Dalton, or as she calls herself, super mayor, and supervisor of Thornton Township, where she makes over 2.
The investigation into Henyard is far from surprising, and it's no secret that many have stepped forward to expose the damaging effects of her actions. The Board of Trustees at Dalton has been vocal about their disapproval of the mayor's leadership for quite some time. But now, it's clear that Tiffany has finally reached her breaking point and is ready to fight back. It all started with the trustees, who were the first to raise alarms about how Tiffany was mismanaging the village's finances. Once her most loyal supporters, they've now turned against her, determined to bring the truth to light. Carmen. Carell even went as far as to label Tiffany as someone who exploits hardworking residents without a shred of guilt or remorse.
Politician Tiffany Henyard has lost another key ally. Until recently, Henyard enjoyed near unanimous support on the Thornton Township Board, but now trustee Carmen Carlisle says after trusting Henyard and remaining silent, she will be a whistleblower against Henyard. Carlisle released a statement to WGN that reads in part, "For the past 2 years, Henyard has manipulated employees, vendors, and residents using her position to increase her influence, all while projecting a false image of success funded by the hardworking taxpayers of Thornton Township and the village of Dalton. Henyard shows no accountability or conscience for her actions against employees or taxpayers." Henyard has denied wrongdoing and claims her opponents are out for what she calls clickbait. Tomorrow at 9, tune in for exclusive new reporting on Henyard's spending.
The tension has been building for some time, but things have recently spiraled out of control. There's no denying that the conflict between the mayor and the trustees is at an all-time high. However, up until now, both sides had managed to keep their battle behind closed doors. But everything changed at this particular meeting. Even though the trustees had postponed it, Tiffany made the bold decision to go ahead with the original date. And if that wasn't controversial enough, she went a step further, appointing a new administrator, something that's completely illegal without the board's approval. To make matters even worse, Dalton already has a functioning administrator in place, making Tiffany's move not just questionable, but outright inflammatory.
New village staff members tonight.
She did it at a meeting that she says trustees who oppose her tried to cancel. WGN's Jenna Barnes has more.
Well, one of those appointees is a new village administrator, even though there's already an administrator, a former Henyard ally, Keith Freeman, currently doing the job. This all happening at a meeting the Board of Trustees postponed until next week, a move that Henyard's lawyer says is illegal. So
Tiffany's move is facing intense backlash, not only because of the way it was handled, but also because of who she chose to put in a position of power right alongside her. This decision is sparking even more controversy, raising serious questions about her leadership, her judgment, and whether she can truly be trusted to lead the village moving forward.
Meetings Act says, you know what you got to do to cancel one of these meetings? You got to give 10 days of notice. 10 days of notice to the public. Certainly notice to the mayor. You know what they did?
The background of this new appointee is raising serious red flags, with many people believing he should be behind bars alongside Tiffany, rather than holding any position of power. But this isn't the first time Tiffany has made such a questionable decision. In the past, she shockingly reinstated Louis Lacey as police chief, despite his history of being fired over charges of bankruptcy and fraud. This just adds fuel to the fire, further tarnishing her already shaky credibility.
Dalton tonight as Mayor Tiffany Henyard's latest hire is now under fire.
Fox 32 has learned that Dalton's new village administrator has had multiple brushes with the law and was fired from a high school for allegedly sexually harassing a 15-year-old girl.
Dane Placco has the latest chapter in this ongoing Dalton investigation.
My next appointment will be for village administrator.
Tuesday night, Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard appointed a new top aide to a $100,000 a year job. 34-year-old Michael A. Smith, who's been active in South Suburban politics for years.
The reason for Mike is he have a wealth of great information. He's a young person and ex-politician. He knows the laws like the back.
After igniting widespread controversy, Mayor Tiffany Henyard didn't hold back. She quickly turned the blame on the trustees, accusing them of being the root cause of the unrest in Dalton. She made bold statements, claiming the trustees were the ones stoking the flames. But things took a shocking turn when it was revealed that one of her key allies, Smith, has a troubling history. This isn't just about political power struggles. Anymore, it's about a pattern of criminal activity. Smith has been in and out of trouble with the law for years, and many residents are asking, how is he still in a position of power? Public records paint a disturbing picture. Smith has been charged at least 8 times, with offenses ranging from domestic battery to official misconduct. In 2012, Smith, then a young trustee in Dixmoor, resigned after pleading guilty to theft. He was accused of stealing gasoline by posing as a police officer. Fast forward to 2018, when Smith was working as an assistant dean at Thornton Fractional High School. He was fired for sexual harassment of a female student, grooming her with lascivious intent and for inappropriate aggressive behavior toward a male student. According to his termination letter, Smith was accused of contacting a 15-year-old female student on Snapchat with inappropriate comments and making her his girlfriend. And if that wasn't enough, earlier this year, Smith was fired from the Echo School District for falsifying information on his employment application. It's clear there's a pattern of questionable hires under Henyard's administration, a consistent history of putting people with shady pasts in positions of power without doing proper background checks. And the drama doesn't stop there. At tonight's meeting, which can barely even be called that, fewer than 20 people showed up. The usual hecklers, the ones who always seem to have something to say, were nowhere to be found. And when you notice that everyone speaking seems carefully placed, it's hard not to question if the audience is staged. One person pointed out, "When we bring all the drama to your community, the usual loud voices aren't here." Meanwhile, just last week in Thornton Township, Supervisor Tiffany Henyard couldn't even hold a meeting because the trustees refused to show up. The power struggle continues to escalate in both Dalton and Thornton, with Henyard unable to maintain control. This is just the beginning of the chaos. But it doesn't end with just one controversial meeting. In Dalton, the Attorney General's office has now found that the village violated the Open Meetings Act during its June and July sessions. Complaints from residents highlighted issues, like limited seating, blocked entrances, and a generally hostile atmosphere. And what was the evidence presented? A critical letter sent to Henyard's mother's house. But this letter, written in blue marker, contained no direct threats of violence. It was simply a personal insult. More importantly, the letter arrived after the meetings had already taken place. Yet the AG's office found that this was the only evidence provided in support of how the meetings were conducted. Despite the claims of threats, the letter did not explicitly threaten violence. The only thing it did was show just how much tension there is in Dalton and how much Henyard's leadership is under fire from all sides. Residents were left outside, unable to even get into the Dalton Municipal Building, and now it's clear that Henyard's grip on power is slipping. The scene outside the latest meeting was chaotic, with a crowd of frustrated residents left in the parking lot, their voices echoing in protest. Mayor Tiffany Henyard's meetings have become nothing short of a spectacle, drawing people in early to air their grievances about unpaid bills and payroll issues. Public meetings are supposed to be open forums, where residents can voice their concerns about the mayor's leadership and the condition of the village. But lately, that's not happening in Dalton. A fraction of the people who showed up even managed to get inside after going through a series of security screenings, which the police chief claimed were necessary due to an unspecified security threat. But those who were left outside weren't going to stay quiet. Residents of Dalton have begun to see Mayor Tiffany Henyard's bi-monthly municipal meetings as a regularly scheduled circus. Each time, they arrive early, hoping to get inside and speak about the village's mounting issues. As the meeting starts, the tension rises. They crowd the double doors, tussling, going through security like they're trying to get into a concert rather than a public meeting. All this just to discuss issues like unpaid bills and payroll. Mayor Henyard sits on the dais, warning residents that any disruptions could lead to the meeting being shut down. But those who do manage to get in, they're left frustrated. Despite their efforts to speak out, they've yet to see any real action taken. One resident stands up and calls out, "People are frustrated. They want answers. They want transparency. This has to end. I'm so disappointed in what's been happening in Dalton. Mayor, you need to step down because you have disgraced this village. You really have." While some residents angrily voice their concerns, others continue to praise the mayor. Under Mayor Henyard's tenure, I have felt the most connected and valued. We need to come together and support her. But before any actual business could even be discussed, the meeting fell apart. A quorum of village leaders dissolved in disagreement over how the meeting was being run. The Open Meetings Act mandates that there must be enough space for everyone to participate, but clearly, that wasn't happening here. With tensions running high, Henyard turned her focus to her colleagues. "Our job is to take care of the business, not allow this mess to continue," she declared. The real drama unfolded when 4 of Dalton's trustees, who have been at odds with Henyard for months, walked out, effectively shutting down any hope of conducting official business. These trustees have been calling for a federal investigation into Henyard's handling of village affairs, accusing her of serious mismanagement. They claim she's failed to pay vendors, withheld business permits, and stonewalled both village leaders and voters for her own personal gain. But the controversy doesn't stop there. The trustees have also raised concerns about how Henyard manipulated them into raising fines for property maintenance. They say she convinced them to approve a drastic increase in fines for lawn mowing from $75 to $500 by tricking them into thinking it would only affect vacant homes. "She made it seem like it was just for vacant properties," one trustee revealed. But the truth is, it was a move to generate revenue for the village at the expense of the residents. They say she manipulated the vote without presenting any official documents, using a lawyer to persuade them into approving it. This has led to a deepening rift between Henyard and the trustees as their ongoing battle over control of the village continues to spiral out of control. The stakes are high, and the future of Dalton hangs in the balance. The controversy surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard is escalating, and it's clear why. Many claim she has repeatedly deceived the trustees into passing laws that benefit her while leaving the community in the dust. A prime example is the massive increase in fines for unmaintained lawns, jumping from $75 to $500. At the time, Henyard sold it as a revenue-generating move for vacant homes, but people are starting to question if that's just another one of her tactics to get her way. This has raised alarms, and it's no surprise that after enough shady decisions, people are starting to demand accountability for her blatant disregard for the community's well-being. But the drama doesn't stop there. Now, new reports have emerged about Henyard's handling of Dalton's finances, and they don't paint a pretty picture. The village recently unveiled new welcome banners, but the company that created them says it still hasn't been paid. One of the biggest accusations against Henyard is her misuse of taxpayer money. She's reportedly spent thousands of dollars on herself, funding lavish trips, purchasing cars for herself, her mother, and even her boyfriend. As if that wasn't bad enough, she pushed forward an unapproved ice rink and even boasted about it on social media. With her ongoing legal troubles, it's clear she's not slowing down. Despite all this, Henyard hasn't shown an ounce of caution. It seems she's more interested in self-promotion than managing the village she was elected to lead. "It doesn't make sense at all," said one frustrated resident. "Why does the mayor's face need to be plastered all over CB Boulevard? We need funding for basic services, not this self-promotion." Trustee Jason House weighed in, stating, "It's deeply unfortunate that the administration has chosen to squander funds on self-promotion while our fire department has been without a contract for 5 years. This is a slap in the face to the hard-working individuals who serve our community and the taxpayers burdened by the millions of dollars in debt caused by the mayor's reckless spending. And where is Mayor Henyard when all this is happening?" NBC. V reached out for comment, but as usual, no response came. "The village needs answers, but nobody knows what she's doing," said another concerned resident. I'm hoping more people step up and demand change. But despite mounting pressure, Henyard continues to act without the approval of the trustees, perpetuating a pattern that leaves them looking like the only ones who care about Dalton's future. But the damage done by her reckless spending and questionable decisions is already severe, and undoing it won't be easy. While Mayor Henyard has not been formally charged with any crime, the controversy continues to surround her. The mayor is under attack, said one of her defenders. She hasn't committed any crimes, but she's facing fierce opposition. And yet, Henyard has hired a notorious criminal defense lawyer. Why? If she's truly innocent, why the need for a criminal defense attorney? That's a question on everyone's mind. While most people in her position would be focusing on staying out of jail, Henyard seems more desperate to cling to her power. Her defense attorney isn't just defending her in court. He's also trying to win public sympathy, hoping to maintain her position despite mounting legal and financial troubles. But the villagers aren't buying it. We provided services to the village and they haven't been paid, said one resident. Bills that were approved months ago are still sitting unpaid. If you can't pay the bills, then what are you spending money on? The bag is empty, and we're all feeling it. It's become increasingly clear that Henyard's mismanagement has put Dalton in a dire situation. We've been waiting for the $6.9 million to come through for months, said another trustee, but it hasn't arrived, and we're still left with empty pockets. When we can't even pay a $14,000 bill, it's clear. The bag is empty, and the people of Dalton are paying the price. The community is fed up. Unlike Henyard, they didn't create their own problems, but now they're the ones left to pick up the pieces. No one is offering sympathy to the mayor, only frustration. The people of Dalton have had enough, and they're demanding real change. But with Henyard still holding on to power, the road ahead is uncertain.